Chris, you guys really turned the tables in the start of the fourth quarter. What did you see that made you go to that lineup at that point in time there, and what worked so well for them?
Well, I thought we just needed a bunch of people out there that were going to kind of stand up drives. They were just kind of putting their shoulder down. But really, we went to the zone more than anything else. I thought Jaden did a phenomenal job in the middle of the zone there, kind of just taking all the guys that were coming downhill and directing traffic. We rebounded really well out of it. We flew around and contested well. They weren't able to kind of manipulate the matchups as they wanted it that way. And then, offensively, we found great rhythm. We really did. Ton of wide open looks, moving the ball. Julius was phenomenal as a playmaker, and everybody made the next play the right play.
Is that, that group just seems to be filled with guys who do want to move it and make the right plays. You just see them kind of fall into that rhythm as they started to make shots and get going there.
Without a doubt. Mike has always had a great pick and roll chemistry with Rudy, as we know, but he's really developed an outstanding one with Julius. And that was, I thought, the catalyst for a lot of good offense early when we needed it. And then Julius did a great job of just making the next play, whether it was a kick out or whether it was for himself. And then we were really active and just kind of cutting and moving for each other.
You went small actually a little bit earlier in the fourth quarter too. Same rationale pretty much?
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, is the advantage of having Jaden's versatility on both ends of the court when you don't have any really big players on the court, does that help a lot?
No doubt. Tonight you saw we use him as a rim protector in the middle of the zone. I think we tend to be more active in the zone sometimes than we are in man-to-man. It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of part of our personality at the moment. But yeah, I think certain Jaden's versatility has been key for us all for a long time.
Randall 12-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. What was he doing in terms of vision or whatever?
I thought he did an outstanding job of not playing with it in the crowd. He really drew a crowd, and then when he did, he snatched it up and made the right play, and it was really good. I didn't realize that he didn't have a turnover until the one at the 4-minute mark or whatever, which was the only one he had. But that's part of the recipe for us to be good, is for him to be a high assist guy and then doing everything else as well. So
just asking Jim about zone defense. You deploy it more as a necessity, change of pace thing, as a weapon potentially.
Yeah, it's always a little different. Sometimes you do it to change it up, just to give him a different look, particularly out of timeout. This year, it's been a little bit more of a weapon. We go to a little bit more proactively. Sometimes you do it, excuse me, because you have a hard time slowing guys down.
Just the way that unit was cutting off of Julius,
right,
and kind of some of the chemistry that they have. Just when it comes to that and Julius making those reads, just how has that process been? It sounds easy enough to say, "Oh, cut," and find you, but it's
Yeah.
always an easy thing.
Pablo's done a really good job with our offense this year of kind of emphasizing cutting, working a lot on cutting in the preseason. Feels a lot more natural, and timing is a little bit better. We do have it stand around. Sometimes we have pretty good amount of shooting on the floor, and all those guys tend to be reluctant cutters because they think that they're going to spot up to get the shot. But that leaves us with 5 around the perimeter, which I'm not necessarily a proponent of. I'm more of a 4 around 1 than a 5 out type guy. So I think that helps our offense better too.
Chris, a lot of what we're talking about the lineup combinations is just Rudy wasn't out there.
Yeah.
What's the key to, having this gear of being able to go small like this while not losing your Rudy identity too? How has he kind of handled when you've gone to this?
We've always said we're going to play the lineups that work, and 90% of those times it's Rudy's driving a lot of great defense and a lot of good things, You know, tonight they had, at one point, they had 50-some points in the paint, like in the third quarter or something like that, so we had to change up something, you know, they just were too comfortable getting to the mid-range jumper, too comfortable getting to the rim, and, you know, we just had to be able to kind of slow them down somehow, and then that team caught an offensive rhythm that, you know, I wasn't gonna bust that up, so, you know, Rudy's played a ton of basketball, he'll be fine, he's happy the team won, and that's the most important thing.
And that's a big game for Ant.
Yeah, huge.
30 again. I was just noticing the energy that he's bringing in, and I'm thinking back to a few years ago, you know, it's a weekend back-to-back, something like that. You might not have seen that from him. Does that feel like you're just getting that more consistently from him?
Yeah, it's been a number of years since, you know, he's had back-to-back, you know, kind of fatigue, if you will. His energy was great, super locked in. He had a bunch of turnovers early. I know he was really frustrated with himself on those. Those were simple plays. I know he knows exactly where the ball should have gone. He cleaned that up. It was the most I've seen him go, you know, in attack mode, you know, and get downhill for a while, just because, you know, of the coverages. Yeah, and only 2 free throws to show for it, but I thought he was really aggressive going to the places he wanted to go, and it led to a lot of good offense.
Is that kind of what you want to see from him? Is when frustrated, be aggressive, you know, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
out of it.
I mean, you know, Ant's in a place right now where, you know, I trust his decision making with the ball, and you know, we gotta continue to be able to adjust with him on the ball, off the ball. As you know, he's been on the ball a lot, but it feels like he's settled into a bit of a rhythm. You know, and he's adjusting to whatever the coverages that people are giving him, whether it's 2 on the ball, you know, 2, 3 in the gaps. You know, I think he's doing a better and better job of making the right plays.
Any other questions? With, you know, Nas kind of had a slow start tonight, and in years past, Nas kind of had a slow start tonight, and in years past, you know, maybe he would kind of not be as impactful later in the game, but it seemed like in the fourth quarter when you needed him, he was still taking those shots. Just what does it say about his progression to be at that point now?
They also got some big rebounds. You know, offensively, he was active on the glass for. But yeah, he's done that a bit this year. You know, he's survived a tough start. You know, I think he's at the point now where he has confidence that, you know, he's going to be able to bounce back, and that we're going to always give him the chance to do so. So yeah.